Hello and welcome. We are Dr. Josh and Christy Straub, and we are live talking about the 8 common mistakes we make when we discipline our kids.
I literally just went through the list. It was a blog post that you wrote. When was it? Tuesday?
This week,
This
Monday.
week.
Monday.
I
Indeed.
made 5 today. 5 of them. Maybe 4 if I was like lenient on myself, but
We will post
5.
that blog post in this. Once we post the Facebook Live, we'll go ahead and post the blog link so you can see that. But first of all, tonight, we want to know where you're from, where you're tuning in from. My mom just joined. Hi, Mom.
Mama.
Thought you were going to be in bed by now. So we are,
in Nashville.
we are in Nashville.
Tennessee,
and we would love to see
but I'm Canadian.
where you're
so
from.
I love to see when there's Canadians.
I want to see if. Never mind. Okay. So tonight we're talking about the 8 common mistakes we make when we discipline our kids. And you made 4 of them today. I didn't make any.
Yeah. Green Bay. Hi, Alan.
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Hi, Jade.
Alan, Jade in Little Rock, Arkansas. Very cool.
We lived in
Welcome,
Branson.
Jillian in
We were kind of close.
Chicago. Jamie, Morgantown, North Carolina. San Diego.
The weather's
Bertha.
perfect.
Carrie from Columbus, Ohio. Good checking in. Shelby from St. Louis. We just want to say, too, as we get started tonight, that we love this community and we love talking about family and all things family. And so please, anytime that you can comment or like a post
Donovan, Saskatchewan.
look at that.
My sister and brother-in-law.
Okay, so please comment. Anything that you can add to these conversations.
Oh,
we
and can I
love
just put a caveat
being able
on
to
this?
do that. Yeah.
This is not meant, the 8 mistakes post, when you'll read it, you'll realize. But it is not meant at all to be shaming in any way. This is like, I mean, I just told you I made 4 or 5, really, today. So this is like your guilt-free drop. Oh, thanks. My necklace.
that?
Carrie likes my necklace.
And they
I
asked
thought
whether
it
or
was
not.
maybe a bit much for like 8:30 at night.
Yeah, that
but-
was what we were.
Okay. Thanks.
So, Springdale, Arkansas. Hey, Heather. So tonight, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Let's talk about this discipline mistakes because we do it. We make these mistakes.
Everyone
and first of all, we'll post that blog, but on this post once we're done, the one I make the most is not following through. And we had a discussion on this a couple weeks ago.
Inconsistency.
Where you were frustrated because our son was acting out, and you called me, and you were like, "We're in boot camp." Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah.
And me,
do.
I react, and my reaction to you was because I tend to be then the softie, because all I hear out of her is like strict. So part of this conversation is being on the same page. Number 8 was undermining your spouse.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
don't think we were doing that in that instance, but you inferred that me saying we were in boot camp meant that you weren't holding up your side of the discipline.
Oh.
Yeah? Maybe?
that's what I took of it.
Right.
I felt
That's
like
what you
were,
thought. That's not what I was saying.
Yeah, I felt like you were
I
telling
felt
me
like
I was
I'm
doing
just
a
as
horrible job.
inconsistent
Yeah.
and needed to.
So, yeah. So
So what are some of the other ones?
some of the other ones are too many rules.
Yes.
Sometimes we just have rules that we don't need to have. And when there's too many rules in the house, more rules equals more power struggles, equals more discipline, equals more consequences. So don't major in the minors. Like, be smart about how
Like
many
today
rules
at
you
Target. I took the kids both to Target, and I usually have this rule of like they have to stay in the cart, honestly, just because it's annoying that they get out and run around. They're pretty good, so I probably could trust them, but yeah. Today was that was one that I started like shifting the rules because one wanted to get out, and I kind of understood that because they've been in the car for a while, and inconsistency / way too many rules about nothing that was really that important.
Yeah. And the biggest message that we preach or teach on is emotional safety and the posture from which we parent mattering more than the techniques. And so that's really, because a lot of these techniques, we are going to make mistakes. Like you are human. You're going to make a mistake. And for us, one of the other ones, which I think was one that I needed to really check myself on, was when you discipline not for disobedience, but when you discipline for behavior that annoys you.
See, I think that's what I was doing today, honestly. It's
Yeah.
just annoying.
Like, especially because we're type A parents. Like,
Yeah.
we're both firstborns, type A's. We're very driven. And sometimes if you have a child who's very laid back and just kind of goes with the flow, you could easily discipline for that kind of lax behavior when it's a personality
Yeah.
issue and it's not
Easygoing, lackadaisical, taking
there's
their
nothing
time. Yeah.
disobedient about it.
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful of that too, because I
Right.
believe we have to really do a good job of honing in on who our kids are and what their strengths are and not disciplining them.
Totally. But I also think there's things like dinner table,
Yeah.
etiquette. There's certain things, being quiet when they need to be quiet, when they're out at dinner. Those are things that, no, it might not be like a hill to die on, but it is something that's annoying. And culturally, we need to teach them like the appropriate rules for those things.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
So,
But it also depends on the age. If you're
Yes.
trying to get your 18-month-old to sit and eat at the table, right, or
Yeah.
younger, I mean that's
or your 4-year-old, I mean.
yeah, you're going to be. I mean, there's a degree to which you create your own stress
Yeah.
and exhaustion with your own rules, and so we have to keep those in check too,
Yeah.
for sure. Here's the deal, though. I really believe this, that, and again, we talk about emotional safety all the time. That's really the key. But the 3 steps that we really believe wholeheartedly taking is being clear on the rules. Because if you're not clear of the rules that you're setting in your house, your kids are not going to be clear. Like, they're not going to know. Number 2 is, if you are not being clear, being consistent.
Yeah.
Being consistent in establishing those rules. So if one time you say, hey,
I'm terrible with that.
we can't wear shoes in the house, then
Maybe
the
not
next time
terrible.
we do,
Yes.
the kids aren't going to understand and know.
I know.
And then the third thing is following through on the discipline when they do break the rule.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, especially for you and I,
Well, and it's really
it's the inconsistency.
yeah, and it's as simple
So it breaks down.
and as difficult as that.
Yeah. That's very
But I think if you can focus on those 3 things, that it doesn't have to be like you were saying, like it's not the techniques that matters the most. It's being emotionally safe as you
Yeah.
enact the discipline, enact the rules, explain the rules, but clarity, consistency, follow through.
That's right.
Yeah?
Being clear,
Yeah.
consistent, and follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then here's the other one, and this is the one that I get excited about, because for me,
Manitoba. Yes.
for
Hi,
me,
Joni.
this is the cool one. This is the one that I get excited about is, and if you're just joining us, what we're talking about are the 8 most common, or I don't know if they're the most, but there are 8 common mistakes we make when we discipline our kids. And we're going to post that blog when we post this video. We're going to post it for you.
Yeah.
But, and so just like the Facebook page, and by the way,
if you click the blue sign up button on the Facebook page, it'll send all the blog posts will get sent to your email in the morning. So
and if you're checking in for the first time with us,
if you're like me and aren't on social media all the time.
and if you're checking in for the first time with us, we're actually doing an introduction to who we are tomorrow. So that'll be a vlog that goes out tomorrow. So
like, hi, nice
yeah.
to meet you.
because it was just me doing this, and then she came out of the trenches of raising kids, and now she's joining me, and I'm so excited about that. So you can see if you've been
Literally
following
off
us.
the bathroom floor is actually how the story goes.
Yeah. So if you've
It's
been
not a
following
story.
us, you'll see
It's really real.
on the on our Facebook page, we changed our name from Joshua Straub to Dr. Josh and Christy Straub because we are a team. Because
Yeah.
she said yes.
Yeah.
Score. I scored big time. And so
So did I.
there is Thomas tuning in from Texas.
Texas.
So thank you all for joining. We are talking about the 8 mistakes that we make when we discipline our kids. And so one of the things that we were describing is being clear about the rules, because when you have too many rules, too many rules equals too many consequences equals too
many
many
hills to
power
die on.
struggles. Yeah. And so being clear, being consistent, and then following through on those rules. But this was the cool piece that I was getting ready to explain, because I think this is what's so cool about it, is our heart is to come together as a generation of parents. We are living in a culture today where we are so exhausted as parents, and especially as moms and dads who are just trying to keep up with the pace and the pressure. And
Why
you have society telling you that there's so many different decisions to make. Should we immunize our kids? Should we not? Should we breastfeed, bottle feed? Should our kids sleep with us? Should they not sleep with us? Should we public school or private school?
Yes.
Or no, we're bad if we don't homeschool, right? Or should we be homeschooling, right? Right? And so you get all these voices, and we didn't even talk about technology or the foods we eat. I grew up on Salisbury steak and tuna melts. So I'm doing great. So like, but it's true. And so we're exhausted, overwhelmed, and our heart is to come together as a generation of parents and support one another, not be shaming each other.
Yeah.
And so even with the title of this post tonight, we want to make sure that you guys realize these are mistakes that we all make.
Yeah.
And we're not like shaming. We're just saying, hey, these are some mistakes we make. But here's the beauty. Research shows that
I love this part.
research shows that you will make mistakes. And I love what research shows.
Duh.
Because it says, yeah, because you're not perfect. And so,
Duh.
and neither are we.
Duh.
Duh. And so the research shows that if you get this emotional, we talk a lot about emotional safety, and I wrote this in the book Safe House. And so if you're interested in understanding the concept and the power of emotional safety in getting the outcomes we're looking for in our kids, we,
And in marriage.
and in marriage and in leadership, the research shows, so if we get this right 2 out of 5 times,
Isn't that great odds?
that's just 40% of the time we can still get all the major outcomes we're looking for in our kids according to research.
Yeah.
And it's scripturally supported too. Like
Yeah.
it's all scripturally based. And so it's the power of the relationship. And so when you look at that, you realize the research shows that repair, it's a word called repair, is the ultimate of relationships. This is John Gottman's research. It's called the ultimate of relationships. Do you know what the Bible calls it?
I do.
What?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. And it tells us to practice it a lot. So you will make these mistakes. And when you make these mistakes, the way to correct them is to get down on your knee and to get on your kid's level, at
Yeah.
their eye level, and to apologize for the specific offense. To be able to say, I'm sorry for the way that I spoke to you, or I'm sorry that I yelled at you, or I'm sorry, and then being very specific. And then explaining how you're going to make that right
Yeah.
for them. When
I do
we
that a lot.
when we do that, we
Yeah.
are
Praise God for his grace in that 40%.
absolutely.
Amen, Jennifer.
And so there's no shame here because we will make mistakes. But what we're doing when we apologize to our kids is we're teaching our kids, number one, that we're not perfect. We're also showing them, number two,
What to do when they're not.
what to do when they're not, and that we're not expecting them to be perfect.
Exactly.
We're not, like, when we put expectations on them, it can send them down the wrong path.
Yeah.
I've counseled a lot of teenagers who lived under high expectations in their home and just had broken relationships with their parents because of these high expectations.
Yeah.
So when we wrong our kids, being able to seek their forgiveness is really important in teaching them and showing them how we can move on in life and
Well, and it is
right
amazing to
wrongs.
see, like the research calls it repair, but it really does repair the relationship.
Yeah, the rupture in the relationship, because it does, it creates a rupture in your relationship. So
And speaking of which, I did write a blog today called Dear Young Mama. It was to young moms, but Quiet the Mean Voices. And I think it kind of applies here because there are so many voices that are so loud, and most of them come from a small rectangular screen that we sign up and we subscribe and we log in every day. Sometimes some research says up to 100 times a day, which is once every 10 minutes for some of us. And these voices are basically telling us you don't have what it takes. Someone's doing it better than you. And you need X, Y, and Z, and Jen from Pinterest has these ideas, and these are the things we're not doing right. This is where I'm messing up in my discipline with the food I feed my kids, how I raise them, how much I'm home with them, how much time I spend with them. And I just wanted to say from my heart to you, I think that is our role as parents, is to guard our own hearts from that onslaught of information, because we're raising kids now in a generation. I'm not, naive enough to think that this is all brand new and that moms for generations past have not walked through stuff like this. But the technology part and the information overload
Yeah.
is relatively new. And that social comparison.
It's the millions of voices that are screaming at us
Yeah.
to make us feel like we're incompetent and that
Yeah.
we're not enough. And
So
that we're
we don't
missing
want
out
to be
on
that
something.
voice.
Yeah,
And adding another voice to that.
we want to be a fresh voice for you. We want to be a voice of grace
Yeah.
and truth. Like, we're not just saying, hey, we're just going to be all wonderful parents, because millennial parents, and research shows that 54% of millennial parents want to be BFFs with their kids. And the research over and over and over again says that if you parent in this way, your outcomes, you will not be best friends with your kids by the time they're 18 and they're out of the house. They're going to be hating you. If you are a parent, you need to be an authority figure and go find friends your own age. So that's my graceful way of saying don't be a BFF parent. Because our kids need authority figures. They need us to teach them. I saw someone right there, this is hard to do with a hard-headed kid. You know what? We have one of those hard-headed kids.
I think we might have two.
I think we might have two too. We're both firstborn type A's, and we're pretty strong-willed. And so our son, our firstborn, had zero chance. And so we
He has
get
been-
that. Yeah, we get that. We get that very much so.
Yeah.
But for encouragement, it's all about consistency. Be consistent. Be clear on the rules. Be consistent,
Yeah.
and then follow through.
But I can say, I mean, there's been a lot of, I feel like we might be walking out of a season right now where I felt really hopeless before, though, in disciplining.
That's true.
Him in particular.
We're seeing a turn in him lately,
Yeah.
which is great. Right? But
if we were
yeah.
doing this 6 months, a year ago, I would
Yeah.
not be saying that.
yeah, that's very
I
true.
was the hopeless parent.
Yeah. So just keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
moms and dads, because and do us a favor, like comment here, like the Facebook page, and then comment here, because we do these every single week, and we want to be an encouraging voice to you. We want to help you. We want you to help us. We want to create conversation on how we can do this together, because we weren't meant to do this parenting thing alone, and we would really love to be able to walk alongside you as we do this, this whole thing of parenting and raising a generation of kids, our kiddos, to live, love, and lead well. So like our page,
Yes.
and then comment tonight. Tell us where you're winning as a parent. I think that would be a great discussion. Is even though we're talking about ways that we make mistakes, what are some ways that maybe you overcame a mistake, or what are some ways that you feel like you are winning?
That's a great
And
one.
let's have a conversation about that, because
Yeah.
we can all learn from each other in this, because I think we all feel ashamed at times. We all feel guilty. We all feel hopeless, like
Yep.
you were feeling. And so let's encourage each other, and let's have this be a safe place to be able to dialogue about how we can be great parents, and
Yeah.
and feel free to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So as we close tonight, let's just see a couple more people here before we close. As iron sharpens iron, yes, I love that. Always tell my kids, Christy.
My firstborn is a very strong-willed child. What is that the thing? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess it
maybe. I've been feeling helpless as well. 5.5-year-old surprised me. That's awesome. Alicia, I need.
is. Consistency.
Donna, I wish I was winning. Listen, Donna, we want to encourage you. You can win. And this is the other thing too. We post a morning prayer for kids every single morning
Yeah.
on our Facebook page, on this Facebook page, and on our Instagram page. So a morning prayer, a dinner time conversation story starter, like a conversation
fun.
starter for
Yeah.
your kids, where you can tell them stories about you. Today's was tell a funny story about your own parents, their grandparents that you have growing up, to just laugh and have fun. Maybe that wasn't today's. That might be one coming up. I was writing them today. And then we also do bedtime questions for your kids. Like one bedtime question every single night that you can ask your kids. Because sometimes we go throughout the day and we feel like we don't even connect with our kids. Just having that one prompt, that one question, can really make you feel like you've created a win today, because your child opens up about something that you didn't even realize they were going to open up about.
Yeah, in
So-
that safe place in their bedroom at nighttime. It's so great. And I saw someone say, apologize. Yes, apologize. We talked about
Yeah.
that a little bit before,
Yeah.
but
So
how important that is.
And I love this too. Jennifer just writes, we battle not against flesh and blood. I think it's so critically important before we go tonight that, and we do this, we pray circles around our kids and pray circles around your home, pray circles around your spouse. Be praying over your family constantly, because we are in a spiritual battle, and there are all kinds of voices vying for our kids' hearts.
Yeah.
And that's why emotional safety is so critical, because if you're not safe with your kids, they'll go somewhere else that is safe. So tonight, like the page, comment, and let's have dialogue, let's have conversation. We so appreciate each of you checking in with us, and we will see you again next Thursday night.
Yeah.
Thursday nights, 8:30 Central Time. If you like the page, what it does is it will remind you, or it'll show you, it'll tell you when we're going live, so that way you can watch. So
Yeah. And if you sign up, you can get the blog post too, which is
yeah, tomorrow's. If you don't know who we are, our introduction will come out tomorrow, because we realize
Which is
there's a lot of
most of
people who
you,
didn't know who we
probably.
were.
Yeah.
So it's great. So just
so we're
you'll
like, hi, it's nice to meet you. Here's
have a little
who
bit
we
more
are.
of an idea of who we are. So thank you so much for checking in. We love and appreciate each of you, and excited to have conversation with you after we hang up. So take care. Have a great night.